If you examine the first 5 weeks of the schedule, the Browns are set to face 5 top 10 offensive units, followed by Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers. If the offense stagnates during that brutal opening stretch, Shadur Sanders' star power could become a real factor. In 90% of NFL markets, hype doesn't matter. But in Cleveland, when it comes to the quarterback position, it absolutely does. And by week 8, I firmly believe Shedeur will be the starter. I spoke with several general managers about Dylan Gabriel, and the consensus was underwhelming. Some believed he wasn't even draftable. From their vantage point, he's not worthy of a third-round selection. But as of June 11th, it appears the Browns are handling the Shadur Sanders situation with patience and precision. Had he been selected second overall, the pressure would have been overwhelming, a freight train of expectation barreling down the tracks. But that's not the case, and that's why the current approach feels measured and wise. For once, all the emotional noise and media hysteria seem to be subsiding. There's no internal chaos, no whispers of dysfunction, just focused evaluation. That's a refreshing change, considering past Junes have seen their fair share of quarterback controversies in Cleveland. I'd say Sanders is already a lock for the 53-man roster. Now, you know Ohio, you know the Browns and their personnel as well as anyone. I'm a supporter of Kevin Stefanski and Andrew Berry. That said, I don't always align with the impulsive tendencies of ownership. And while it's only OTAs and you don't want to read too much into early sessions, Sanders' performance has mirrored his collegiate brilliance. Jaden Daniels showcased his athleticism in college, and now in the NFL, that mobility clearly translates. With Shedeur, it's his surgical precision. He completed 74% of his passes at Colorado. Now, he's hitting 77% in Browns camp. Sure, it's just camp, but then why are the other quarterbacks hovering around 58%? That discrepancy speaks volumes. And here's the thing. Sanders is doing this with the backups. He hasn't taken a single rep with the first-team offense, which honestly is smart, because the second he steps in with the starters, the hype train will go full throttle. And while it's tempting to get carried away, it's wise to stay grounded, at least for now. So, what's the pulse in Cleveland right now regarding Shadur Sanders? Is the excitement legitimate? From everything I've heard, yes. Coaches and insiders have praised his poise, his polish, and his command. The real question as minicamp unfolds is, can he keep this momentum going? If he continues to impress, the organization will be forced to ask, why not start him? Why not give him the reins this season? Either you discover your franchise quarterback now, or you leverage those 2 first-round picks in the 2026 draft. But you need clarity. From what I'm told, Sanders entered minicamp and immediately stood out. Coaches described him as one of the most impressive day 3 picks they've ever evaluated. He handled himself with maturity and readiness like a player who was vastly underdrafted. In truth, he carried second-round talent at worst. If this pans out, Cleveland could walk away looking like absolute geniuses, the same way San Francisco did with Brock Purdy. There's virtually no downside here. Now, there are quarterbacks with obvious physical gifts, guys with rocket arms or 4.3 speed. That's not Shadur Sanders. His superpowers aren't flashy, they're cerebral. His processing, his anticipation, his ability to diagnose a defense in real time, those traits don't always pop off the screen, but in the right system, they're lethal. And under Kevin Stefanski's scheme, if it resembles what it was a couple years back, Shedeur is an ideal fit. His mental traits could fast-track him to the starting lineup faster than any 40-yard dash time ever could. At the end of the day, he must force the Browns' hand, not through hype, but through undeniable performance. That process begins now. If he earns reps against the first-team defense in training camp and thrives, the decision will become impossible to ignore. So buckle up, NFL fans. The Browns' quarterback room is a powder keg, and Shadur Sanders may be the spark that ignites it all. Once an overlooked 5th-round fire, buried behind Joe Flacco, Kenny Pickett, and Dylan Gabriel, Sanders has exploded onto the scene, turning heads and rewriting expectations. This isn't just a feel-good underdog tale, it's a seismic shift, shaking the very foundation of Cleveland's quarterback plan. In minicamp, he didn't just hold his own, he dominated. His 77% completion rate in drills eclipsed his stellar 74% mark at Colorado, where he threw for over 4,100 yards and 37 touchdowns, despite being sacked a staggering 42 times. And now, he's doing it again, with NFL defenders in his face. The Browns may have stumbled into a franchise-altering decision. This isn't just talent, It's composure under pressure, the kind of electrifying presence Cleveland's been desperate to unleash for decades. Insiders say that even against second-string defenses, Shadur Sanders is injecting an energy into the offense that hasn't been felt in years. But here's the twist. He's doing all this without even sniffing first-team reps. So why is Kevin Stefanski keeping him in the shadows? Is this a calculated masterstroke or a blunder of epic proportions? One thing's certain, Shadur Sanders isn't a backup. He's a supernova, and Cleveland is about to feel the full blaze. But as Shedur's stock skyrockets, the Browns' quarterback room is morphing into a war zone. Let's dive into the chaos and expose who's truly calling the shots behind the scenes. Picture this, a quarterback depth chart so swollen with egos and ulterior motives, it's ready to implode. You've got Joe Flacco, the 40-year-old Super Bowl MVP, clinging to the last echoes of glory. Kenny Pickett, the once heralded first-rounder, battling to escape the bust label. Dylan Gabriel, the athletic third-round prospect, anointed by some as a dual-threat messiah. And then there's Shadur Sanders, the enigmatic fifth-rounder who's flipping the narrative upside down. The Browns' decision to select two quarterbacks in the 2025 draft was always a risk. Now it's a full-blown circus. Reports from OTAs reveal a glaring disparity. While Gabriel occasionally flashes athleticism, his 58% completion rate pales next to Sanders' stunning 77%. That's not a gap, it's a canyon. And yet, Kevin Stefanski seems intent on sidelining Sanders, denying him a single first-team snap. Why? Some claim it's an attempt to cool down the hype train, others smell politics. Former Brown safety Tyus Powell dropped a bombshell, suggesting Stefanski's track record with late-round QBs, like Dorian Thompson-Robinson, proves he's quick to bury raw talent. Is Stefanski undermining Sanders' rise or playing a long game of strategic chess? Time is running out, and the Cleveland faithful are losing patience. This isn't just a quarterback competition, it's a full-blown civil war, and Sanders is caught in the crossfire. As the drama erupts, one question dominates the airwaves. Is Shadur Sanders the messiah Cleveland has longed for, or is he being set up to fail? Let's dissect the potential. Cleveland has endured a painful lineage of quarterback disappointments, but Sanders may finally be the antidote. His college resume screams elite. A 74% completion rate, 4,134 yards and 37 touchdowns, all while being sacked 42 times behind a shaky O-line. Now in Browns camp, he's duplicating that brilliance, with insiders praising his veteran-like processing, poise, and pinpoint accuracy. NFL analyst James Jones didn't hold back. Shadur Sanders is the best option for the Browns right now. Put him in. Why? Because Sanders isn't just a quarterback. He's a tone setter, a leader. Players like Myles Garrett, Cleveland's defensive cornerstone, are already praising his calm, commanding presence that lifts the entire squad. But here's the harsh reality. Cleveland's opening schedule is a gauntlet. 5 of the first 6 opponents boast top 10 offenses, followed by Aaron Rodgers and Pittsburgh's unforgiving defense. If the Browns stumble out of the gate, Sanders' gravitational pull may be their only lifeline. In most NFL cities, fifth-round hype dies fast. But in quarterback-starved Cleveland, it's everything. The fan base is chanting his name, the media's fueling the fire, the locker room's buying in. Shadur Sanders isn't just a rookie, he's a rising movement. But with meteoric potential comes relentless pressure. Can Sanders sustain the surge, or will Cleveland's dysfunction sabotage him? Let's assess the dangers. Sanders is riding a tidal wave of momentum, but this is the NFL, where hype gets crushed faster than a free-blitzing linebacker. The Browns' quarterback room is a pressure cooker, and recent off-field slip-ups aren't helping. 2 speeding tickets and a missed court date have stirred criticism, with analysts like Skip Bayless blasting his immaturity. Critics argue his draft day plunge from potential first-rounder to fifth stemmed from character concerns and a lack of polish. But the film tells a different story. That in itself turned heads, considering his dominance at Colorado. He looked like a surefire first-rounder, elite arm strength, next-level football IQ, and composure beyond his age. Naturally, expectations soared. But once OTAs and minicamp began, something strange unfolded. Despite flashing brilliance, perfectly placed deep balls, calm pocket presence, advanced play recognition, Shedeur remained buried on the depth chart, 4th string, behind Dylan Gabriel. behind Kenny Pickett, behind the aging Joe Flacco. And the question is why? Why is a quarterback with this much promise not getting meaningful reps in drills that matter? Why is he not even sniffing the field during simulated game situations? It's not about poor performance, quite the opposite. In multiple OTA sessions, Shedeur threw 3 touchdowns during limited 7-on-7 reps. That's production that demands a second look, and yet he remains sidelined, boxed out from even a shot with the first team. This has ignited a fierce debate across the fan base and media landscape. Some claim it's simply part of a rookie's progression curve, a standard developmental process. Others are raising eyebrows, questioning whether the coaching staff is reluctant to shake up the status quo. And here's where the drama thickens. Coach Kevin Stefanski has remained intentionally vague. He preaches earned reps, downplays snap counts, and insists it's too early to read into the quarterback pecking order. But the internal message? It's crystal clear. Shedeur isn't moving up, despite outplaying expectations. Enter Louis Riddick on ESPN's Get Up. The respected former NFL executive didn't hold back. He said plainly, Shadur Sanders is the most talented thrower on that roster, and yet he's not getting a fair opportunity. Riddick emphasized that Cleveland's coaching staff must carve out a clearer path for Shedeur to compete, especially when his natural ability suggests he could beat out anyone in that room one-on-one. But here's the harsh reality. Talent alone isn't enough, not in the NFL, not in a system that prioritizes veteran resumes over raw upside. Which brings us to the heart of the matter. Is this calculated patience or passive resistance? Is Stefanski purposefully slow-cooking his rookie QB, or is he simply unwilling to gamble on youth over experience? The Browns' QB room is crowded. Joe Flacco, a seasoned vet with playoff chops. Kenny Pickett, a young passer with starting experience. Dylan Gabriel, a third-round pick with potential. So even with Shedeur's talent, the numbers game isn't in his favor. It's not just competition, it's political. It's reputational. It's deeply strategic. He's caught in a silent tug-of-war, a roster puzzle where his potential is being eclipsed by locker room hierarchy and institutional caution. And the truth is, that might be Cleveland's biggest gamble yet. To ensure the YouTube algorithm keeps recommending you the latest Cleveland Browns updates, don't forget to smash that like button on this video. It may seem small, but trust me, it makes a huge difference. Thank you. Now, let's dive into the real headline. This isn't just about Shadur Sanders. It's about what his story signals for the future of the Cleveland Browns, their evolving draft strategy, and how they're architecting the quarterback position for years to come. Historically, Cleveland has shown a mix of patience and boldness when it comes to quarterbacks. Think about how Baker Mayfield's career in orange and brown began, or the seismic move to bring in Deshaun Watson. Every turning point has been the result of strategic timing, careful evaluation, and occasionally risk-taking. So the real question becomes, is Shadur Sanders Cleveland's next major project, or is he quietly being stalled by design? It's a question only the Browns coaching staff can truly answer. Inside the organization, Shedeur has built a reputation for grit, focus, and relentless work ethic. Reports suggest he's fully immersed, studying film, asking questions, and learning under veteran Joe Flacco. According to ESPN Cleveland's Kimberly A. Martin, Sanders is absorbing everything like a sponge. That's exactly the mindset you'd want in your future franchise quarterback. But here's the reality. The NFL is a game of patience, strategy, and perfectly timed opportunity. So Browns fans, let's zoom out. What does all this truly mean for us? If Shedeur continues to excel in practice, it's only a matter of time before he earns his shot. The real question is when. Will it be this season, or are the Browns preparing a long-term blueprint, letting him develop quietly behind the scenes before launching him into the spotlight? These are the types of decisions that shape legacies and can alter the trajectory of a franchise for an entire generation, morally similar to the path of Patrick Mahomes, who sat for a year behind Alex Smith before erupting into superstardom, or Joe Burrow, who had to gradually grow into the demands of the league. Sometimes, patience breeds greatness. Other times, waiting too long can suppress it. And let's not ignore the landscape. The AFC North is a minefield. With juggernauts like the Ravens, Bengals, and Steelers, every game is a war, and every decision under center is magnified. That's why the Browns coaching staff is likely walking a razor-thin line between immediate competitiveness and long-term vision. Look at the roster moves. The Browns have reinforced their offensive line, elevated their defense, and brought in dynamic playmakers at the skilled positions. All that's missing now is a true leader at quarterback, someone who can deliver stability, explosiveness, and poise under pressure. Definitely not if I've ever danced in public in my life. On the surface, it was harmless veteran rookie banter that offered fans a smile during the heat of June OTAs. But in Cleveland, in this quarterback room, that moment hit different. It wasn't just entertainment, it was chemistry. It was also the beginning of something more profound, something strategic, something revealing. Because behind the laughs and the thousands of likes that followed, a quiet storm was brewing. One that could reshape this season and perhaps the next decade. You've got Shadur Sanders, the son of Primera, arriving in Cleveland with confidence, composure, and a digital following the size of a small nation. But he didn't come here just to trend, he came to conquer. And standing in his path? Joe Flacco, the veteran tactician with a Super Bowl ring. Dylan Gabriel, a third-round pick known for his inconsistency. And Kenny Pickett, the unpredictable wild card. This isn't just a training camp battle, it's a war for the soul of the franchise, because lurking in the background are two potential top 10 picks in 2026. Think about that. His 77% completion rate in camp isn't luck, it's a reflection of his cerebral edge and rapid-fire decision-making, exactly what Stefanski's system demands. Still, Cleveland's erratic ownership and Stefanski's overly cautious nature could derail the entire operation. If Sanders doesn't get first-team reps in training camp, the hype train risks a catastrophic derailment. Former NFL wideout T.J. Houshmandzadeh issued a stark warning. It's down to Pickett or Gabriel. Shedeur's not even in the conversation. Are the Browns squandering a generational opportunity, or are they wisely slow-playing a raw but brilliant talent? The stakes couldn't be higher, and the clock is ticking. As the controversy reaches a boiling point, one truth becomes crystal clear. Shadur Sanders' destiny lies squarely in Cleveland's hands. Will they unleash their secret weapon or let him fade into anonymity? Let's bring it home. The Cleveland Browns stand at a pivotal crossroads, and Shadur Sanders is their defining fork in the road. This fifth-round phenom, armed with a 77% camp completion rate and ice-cold poise, is no ordinary rookie. He's a potential franchise-altering force. With 2 first-round picks in 2026, the Browns have options. But why bet on a hypothetical future, when the answer may already be on the roster? Sanders' mental acuity, mastery of the offense, and magnetic leadership make him tailor-made for Stefanski's playbook. The locker room believes, the fan base is begging, the numbers don't lie, but Cleveland's haunted quarterback history looms like a storm cloud. The question isn't just can Sanders be the guy, it's whether the Browns will finally have the courage to believe it. Thank you guys, see you next video.